5 Secret Events of World War II. World War II is one of the most deadly world wars in the world. If you love history, you've been probably learned quite a bit about the most important events. In this video, we will skip the normal things and just focus on the things rare people know. Let's go! 1. October 1939, Germany invaded Poland, so the World War II started. The face of a strong invasion of Germany, the French people prepared everything from weapons to the construction of a series of fortifications along Germany's border. It's called Maginot Defense Line. However, just over 6 weeks from May 10th to June 25th, 1940, French were defeated and surrendered. Different from what many people think, the German army didn't have modern weapons. On the contrary, the French weapons industry was the most developed at that time. Especially, French had 10,700 cannons and 3,524 tanks, while Germany had 7,378 cannons and 2,439 tanks. In addition, most of French tanks were larger, had weapons and covered iron better than the Germans. This is a fact that the French did not want to admit when prepared. They lost not because of the numbers or weapons, but because of the tactics. Germany used the blitzkrieg tactics. It's called fast fight and fast victory. Specifically, the Germans concentrated their army to attack the enemy's key places, causing them to be quickly annihilated and surrendered. After that, Germany will continue to focus forces to attack other areas to destroy each department. The most important element of blitzkrieg is quick disorientation to prevent the enemy from reorganizing and counter-attacking. The risk is that when the army concentrates on a place which will cause an opening in the rear, the army can be encircled by the enemy or cut off the aided line. Number 2. The United Kingdom is one of the countries which had great contributions to the victory of Europe as well as the whole world against the invading of fascism. To get victory, the United Kingdom mobilized all the nation's resources to produce weapons and means of warfare. A total of more than 15 battleships, 7 aircraft carriers, 66 cruisers, 164 destroyers, and 66 submarines. The Royal Navy became the strongest navy in the World War II. In addition, they also produced an unprecedented number of aircraft, mainly bombers, at 132,500. However, the United Kingdom had to borrow money from the United States and Canada to manufacture everything for war. After World War II, the United Kingdom owed about £5.5 billion. But in 2006, this debt was equivalent to about £35 billion, and they repaid this debt at that year. This debt caused the British to lose many colonies later because there were not enough resources to maintain. If it wasn't the great determination and traitors of United Kingdom, perhaps the world would now belong to Germany. Number 3. In World War II, most of the cities and towns in Europe had turned off the power at night to avoid enemy detection and bombing. However, the power outage locations were still bombed as usual. There is only one area that avoids the rain of bombs, which was Switzerland. It was neutral in the World War II. Swiss people lit the lines so the Allies didn't drop the bombs in the wrong places. And the smart Germans took advantage of this advantage to keep the city of Constance, which is located near the Swiss border, from being bombed. They also left the lights on at night, and the Allies thought it was Switzerland, so they skipped it every time the enemy flew through this area. At that time, Constance was the largest weapons production place of Nazi Germany, so the Germans protected an important area and helped the people avoid many rain of bombs. In World War II, Norway was the only place that had a heavy water production factory. It is an important ingredient to manufacture atomic bombs. In April 1940, this factory was occupied by the Germans and they used the raw materials at the plants to produce atomic bombs. Because it's important, the Germans set up strict protection with machine guns, minefields, and barbed wire fences. The only way to access the factory is a suspension bridge over the ravine, where a lined and crowded army make it almost invulnerable. If Nazi Germany were to produce successfully an atomic bombs, the world would be engulfed in death. So, after several times with allies tried to attack the factory by bombing but unsuccessful, because the production line was located under 6 floors of concrete. Then the Norwegians ventured up the dangerous cliffs where the Germans didn't think that the Norwegians could climb. They approached the factory through a tunnel and planted a ticking time bomb, which 20 minutes after they left, the bomb exploded. German facilities were badly damaged and took half a year to be repaired. But then successive sabotage made the Germans unable to complete their goal of creating destructive weapons. Number 5. At the Battle of Stalingrad in 1942, the Soviet Red Army won a resounding victory over the Germans and created a breakthrough in the situation of World War II. This is considered the deadliest battle in the history of war. There were more than 2 million casualties in both sides. Soviet Union accounted for 1.8 million people. To imagine how big that number is, let's look at the number of British, French, and American troops that were killed in World War II. The number of 3 countries was still not equal to the number of Soviet casualties in the Battle of Stalingrad. During the war, the Soviet Union was also the country with the highest number of deaths, with about 8.8 to 10.7 million soldiers. If there were civilians, the number could reach 24 million people, accounting for about 15% of the population at that time. World War II completely ended on September 2, 1945, when the Germany certainly surrendered to the Allies on the USS Missouri battleship, while most of the Japanese people decided to surrender unconditionally because of the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But that's not the most important reason. Nuclear weapons are not military decisive. The Germans were still ready to fight after that event. However, when the Soviet Union began to declare war on Japan, they began to feel anxious. Because the American army made enough Japanese frightened. Now, if strong Soviet Union had invaded Japan, Japan would have been defeated. So these countries decided to surrender to reduce losses and casualties.